The number one reason people are getting fired in 2025 today is legally because their lack of production. Now, don't tune out yet, all right? Everybody knows that. That's why you get fired. That's what's written out. But the real secret hidden reason from the hundreds of entrepreneurs and business owners that I talk to regularly is people are selfish. All right? It's gross. When you show up to work and only care about getting your payday, not caring about the other people's work around you, not caring about helping make their life easier, you're a burden. And that sucks. So, the number one reason that people are getting fired is because they don't think about anybody but themselves. Now, as an employer, why would I want to employ somebody who only cares about themselves, doesn't think about me, first of all, doesn't think about the employees next to them, isn't willing to put their best foot forward when I have other employees who are willing to put their best foot forward? During COVID, yeah, we were taking anything that we could get because people were making more money sitting at home than they were working their normal jobs, right? So we would take anybody with a pulse who wanted to work. But now the tides have kind of turned and employers actually kind of have a leg up. I don't know if anybody has looked at the job market here recently, but there's not a lot of great jobs out there. Us as employers have a lot more in unemployment taxes and things like that since COVID, and it's just been harder, right? So we have to be a little bit more choosy with who we actually pay. And having people who just show up for themselves, not the man or the woman next to them, is really, really difficult. So in my business, we do roofing, gutters, and windows. You might think this is a heavily man-dominated trades, and they are, right? There's mostly men in my business, but we have some women. And when, somebody takes a phone call, right? Answering the phones on inbound leads. When they take the call, if they're just thinking about themselves and getting out at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever time they get out of work, they're not giving their sales reps the best effort. So our sales reps then get a watered down version of our script in the recording. They get a watered down version of the questions that we have our admin ask. And so they show up a little bit less prepared to actually do their job to the best of their abilities, which if they're unprepared, now they don't sell as much. Now our technicians don't get to work. Now our management doesn't get any bonuses because they're not meeting numbers. And you can see this like trickle down effect. Now, anywhere we can have a broken link. Admin could do a fantastic job. And a sales rep who's just like, nah, you know what? I made a few grand this month. I'm good. I don't need to push it anymore. I sold a roof. I had a $2,000 commission this week. I'm good. I'm just going to phone it in. And they show up and they half-ass it, for lack of a better term. Well, now that hurts production. And now our admin aren't getting any bonuses because, well, the company doesn't have it because sales are phoning it in. And management doesn't get any sort of bonuses because sales is phoning it in. And then you go to technicians. Our technicians are production pay as well. And if they're like, you know what? I don't really want to work that hard this week. I want to hit the beach. I live in a beach town. In the summer months, it's hopping. It's the spot to be. You know what? I want to be done by 1 so I can hit the beach and have some beers with the boys and hopefully catch some chicks or something like that, right? Well, now sales aren't getting paid because their jobs aren't getting done, and admin isn't getting their bonuses because jobs aren't getting done, and management isn't getting their bonuses because jobs aren't getting done. You can see how this broken link happens everywhere. Same thing happens at the management level. I've had to go through and fire, GM left, but sales manager, office manager, all of that, because they break as well, and they just think about themselves, and they get comfortable with their salaries or comfortable with, I'm okay with hitting half of my bonuses. I don't need all of them or whatever that is, and they don't push. And then they're in a sales manager role. If they're not pushing their sales reps, if they become too buddy-buddy with their sales reps, now we end up with a bunch of mediocre sales reps who are breaking the system because they're making enough money to pay their bills and they don't care about making more. It becomes a whole thing. And now I know I've talked a ton about money in this, but it really boils down to just not caring about the person next to you, all right? If you don't care about them and them living their best life, why are you even here? If you're showing up right at the last second to punch in and leaving right at the first possible second, it's no bueno, all right? We're not going to put up with that because we don't need to. Plain and simple, there are people out there that do care about others. I've got a building full of them. When they show up, people love coming to work here. On average, people get here like 5 to 10 minutes early every single day to have coffee and eat breakfast together, all right? They show up. We keep a kitchen fully stocked with food, and they show up and make their bagels and, heat up their breakfast or grab an apple or make their coffee or whatever they want to be doing, and they just hang out and they chit chat. And then 8 o'clock's here, all right, boom, they punch in and off they go. It literally happens every single day. And then I've got employees that want to work weekends, that want to hang out on weekends, that want to do things like, hey, I'll run an appointment tonight, 6:30, like customer's going to be there. Yeah, I'll go. I'll take it. Let's go. And when you have that type of atmosphere, it breeds excellence. So now we're getting into the core of this. So hopefully you've stayed with us. Selfishness breeds the opposite of excellence, like poor. I don't necessarily want to write poor, but we'll do this. But selfless equals excellence. Now, this whole time I've been talking about employees and the fastest way that they can get fired, and it starts with production, but really they get fired because of selfishness. But you want to know the real secret why you have to fire so many employees? Because you don't lead. That's it. So you, as a business owner, if you're here watching, you are not breeding selflessness and not breeding the excellence. You need to lead by example. And yes, you're still gonna have to fire people. There are just people who come in and they just want a 9 to 5er and that's it. And they're not gonna breed this stuff. They're not gonna be selfless. They're just here for a job, all right? Sometimes we need them for a season. Sometimes it's like, hey, you know what? 2 weeks in, sorry man, this ain't the gig for you. Okay? Plain and simple. It's that easy. But you, as a leader, it is your job to be selfless and breed that excellence inside of your business. If you don't, nobody else will. So if you're an employee, you're going to get fired because of production, but really, it's because you're selfish. If you're an employer and you're sick of crappy employees, it's because you're not selfless. You are selfish as well, and you should be fired as a business owner. And there's my hot take for the day. So hopefully everybody learned a little something on this, and you can show up to work a little bit different tomorrow and lead the team into excellence. We'll see y'all next time.